video, I'm going to take you on our math curriculum journey from our very first homeschool year until the end of this current homeschool year. For 8 years, I'm going to tell you all the math programs we've used and kind of how it has went. Now, this is not a review of any of them, but I'm just going to kind of tell you our journey. Okay, so, alright, so my oldest daughter, when she was in preschool age, we started school when she was 4. When she was in preschool age, that first year from school, I put her in Abeka kindergarten math, K-5. It went great. She really liked it. She learned quickly. We enjoyed it. It was just a great program. The second year of homeschool, she was of the kindergarten age, and I put her in first grade Abeka math. Once again, it went great. She enjoyed it. She learned. No complaints. The third year of homeschool with our math is where I messed up. And I just done a video on this titled, What I Have Learned on How to Teach Math. There's a video, and I kind of go over this thing. But our third year of homeschool, my daughter was in the first grade age level. But I wanted a change. I didn't want to use Abeka again. I had no reason not to. I just wanted something different. Like I said, that's where I messed up. So, I looked online and stuff, and I decided to try Modern Curriculum Press, their math, MCP. Okay, you've heard the old saying, if it's not broke, don't fix it. I should have listened to that. Nothing was wrong with Abeka. Everything was going fine. I should not have messed with it. But I did. I bought the Modern Curriculum Press, and I looked at the third grade book online at the table of contents, and I know she was in first grade age level, but she was, she could do a little higher. I looked at the third grade level table of contents, and everything it said, she was already doing some of those, and I knew that the concept, that she could easily get the concepts, so I just bought the MCP's third grade level. And since it was third grade, I did not think I needed a teacher's book, for the answers. I was thinking surely I can do third grade math, so I did not buy the teacher's book. That was a mistake. And the biggest mistake that I made that year with her math was, at that time, I did not know that there was a difference between the spiral approach to math and the mastery approach. I had no idea that there was one or the other, that they even existed. I thought math was math. It was all taught the same way. I had no idea there was a difference. That was the biggest mistake. Okay, so that homeschool year was a mess. So because I did not know of the difference between mastery and spiral, it was a bad year. I did not know that I should be reviewing some of those things each day with her because I did not buy a teacher's book. So anyway, that third year was just really bad. Okay, so when she was of the second grade age level, I put her in Rod and Staff third grade math. It was very, very simple, plain, basic math. However, when the books came in, and I was going through the lessons, what they were wanting you to do was to spend at least 15 minutes before you began the math lesson, to spend about 15 minutes in review and go through your drills of your facts, like multiplication or addition, subtraction, whatever they were working on. So you're supposed to spend about 15 minutes at least reviewing and drilling stuff like that. And that was quite a bit in itself. Well, then after you do that, now this was for the third grade Rod and Staff book. After you've done that, then you open the hardback book up and your lesson is spread out on 2 pages. The page on the left has rows and rows and rows of addition and subtraction problems, and there's probably about 100 of them on there. I'm not kidding. Close to 100 anyhow. And then the page on the right is more of a variety of problems. There's like telling time problems, some conversions, word problems, maybe a perimeter. Anyhow, so they expected you to spend about 15 minutes at least in review, and then do like 100 problems on the page on the left, and then there's probably about 12 or 15 maybe problems on the right. So they expected you to do that every day. Plus, you also had a drill sheet, like a speed drill, that you were supposed to do every day. And then it seems like there was something else. There were some extra worksheets in a separate book that you were supposed to do every day as well. So there was an insane number of problems that they expected the child to do every single day. It was boring. It was too much to do. Even for a kid that loves math. Over 100 problems a day is just too much to do. I actually need to back up a little bit. Before we done the Rod and Staff, when I had messed up with the Modern Curriculum Press, I told you the first 2 years, my child enjoyed math. She got it. She enjoyed it. It was fun to her. And then I messed up with the Modern Curriculum Press. And that year, I was frustrated, and she was crying a lot. Well, the following year, when I went to buy math, which I ended up buying the Rod and Staff, but before I did, during that summer, that was when I learned about the difference between the mastery approach and the spiral approach. And when I learned that the Modern Curriculum Press was a mastery approach, then I was like, well, that's what it was. That's why the MCP didn't work. It was mastery. Okay, I will stay away from mastery. But during this research of, once I learned the difference between the two, I decided to look at all the programs out there and see which ones were spiral, because I was going to focus only on spiral. Well, during that, I came across Singapore Math, and it was mastery. But I looked it up anyway. I don't know why. I just did. And I really liked what it said, but I was thinking, it's mastery, so it's obviously no good. I'm staying away from that. So I went ahead and I bought the Rod and Staff. And I just told you how there was just too much work. She did not like it. It was boring. Well, that was the year after our mistake with NCT. During that year, whenever I would, she could be in a great mood. We could do her Bible or her history or whatever subject prior to math. She could be alert and just excited and happy for the day. And say, okay, get out your math book. And she would just glaze over. Her whole demeanor would change. You could actually see, like a film over her eyes. She would just, it's like it was just her shell there. She had checked out. And it was like that for that whole year, using the Rod and Staff. She didn't cry, she done it, but she was not in there, she was not into it. It was bad. So, the following school year, she was of 3rd grade age level, and I was thinking, okay, I've messed up the last 2 years. The first 2 years was good. We used Abeka. So we'll go back to Abeka. So I bought Abeka 4th grade math. So we were working on the Abeka 4th grade math. In the first, 20, 30 lessons, she was doing just fine. She was still glazing over. Completely still glazing over. She still was checked out whenever I would mention the word math. But, she was doing fine. Well, then there got to be a point to where I felt like she couldn't move forward, like I shouldn't have her move forward in her math since she didn't have her multiplication facts memorized. So we were working on those. We were practicing them and stuff, but they just weren't sticking. So I just put the Abeka math away, and I went to some stores and I bought those little $1 or $2 booklets that focused on only multiplication and division. And so for the remaining half or 3/4 of the school year, she just worked on those booklets. And that's what she done for the rest of the school year for her math. Just focused on multiplication and division. When that was over, she told me that was kind of fun. She liked it, and she said that she really liked the color. So up until then, aside from Abeka, she hadn't had any color. Like Rod and Staff was black and white, plain paper. Modern Curriculum Press, the one that we use, which there's an updated new edition now, but years ago, it was just black and white and plain. So I learned that she liked the color, okay? So when she was officially in 4th grade age level, I pulled the Abeka 4th grade math out again. And I said, we're going to work on this. So she was working on it, and we were still practicing our math facts. It still wasn't, she wasn't able to memorize them for whatever reason. It was just a struggle for her to work through problems because she didn't have her facts memorized. Now she knew the process, like she knew what multiplication meant. She knew how to do it, how to figure it out. She could multiply a multi-digit number by a multi-digit number. She could carry over and then add all the rows together. She knew the process of it. She just did not have the facts memorized. And I felt like, I don't need to hold her back from learning any more new topics in math just based on that. So towards the end of that school year, I just gave her a chart, a multiplication fact chart, and I said, here, I know you know the process, but, you have trouble with, like, what's 8 times 7 or, 6 times 8 or something. Go ahead and just use this chart to help you out. So that's what we did for her 4th grade year, and she finished the 4th grade Abeka math and used that chart, and it was fine. But she was still glazing over, okay? So during those previous 2 school years, she had continually just glazed over, okay? Just, it was just a struggle. Well then, see, I had looked up Singapore again before that 4th grade year, but once again, I was afraid, since it was a mastery approach, that I shouldn't do it. Well, after her 4th grade year, I was like, I've got to do something. We've got to break this glaze that she has. We've got to break down this wall, this barrier. So I started looking at different math programs. And I'd been wanting to do Singapore for the past 2 or 3 years. But, like I said, it was mastery, so I was afraid. I decided to go ahead and just do it. So, kind of scary, I went ahead and I bought the Singapore. And she was in 5th grade now, and since we had never used Singapore before, they say it's slightly advanced, so you need to start at a lower level. So our first year at Singapore, she was in 5th grade, and I bought book 4B and then 5A. So we were working on 4B, and that girl, it is Singapore that broke down that brick wall that she was facing. The glaze was removed from her eyes, and it has been since. Singapore just broke it down. I mean, she said, "This is fun." She actually said those words, "Hey, math is fun." And she even said, "I like math." And it was so wonderful, because the first 2 years, she liked math, she was good at it. And the next, 3, let's see, I have it written down. The next 1, 2, 3, 4 years? Yeah. So the first 2 years, she liked math and was good at it. And the next 4 years, she just had this brick wall and this glazed look on her, in her eyes. But when we switched over to Singapore, it just broke. You know, the glaze lifted. She said it was fun. She liked it. Singapore helped her. Singapore showed her different ways to approach a problem. You know, there's not one and only one right way to do a problem. Sometimes there are several different ways. In Singapore, they would list the different ways to do a problem and then let the child pick which way works best for their mind. And she understood problems then. I don't know, Singapore was just awesome. It was like a different kid. It was just incredible. I mean, I saw the light bulb come on in her mind. I saw her happiness with it. She loved it. It was like a game. She genuinely loved it. So, when her 5th grade year was over, this was last year, because she just finished 6th grade. So when her 5th grade year was over, I was thinking, yes, I finally know, without a doubt, what to buy her for next year for math. We're doing Singapore again. I was so excited. So I went to check into it. And the Singapore she was using was primary mathematics. Well, primary mathematics ends at 6th grade. Then from 6th to 8th grade, they have a math program called Dimensions Math. And then from 7th to 8th grade, they have a program called New Elementary Math. But the whole Singapore brand ends at 8th grade. Okay, so that kind of scared me. I was like, well, we know this primary mathematics works for her. What if the dimensions in the New Elementary isn't taught quite the same way? What if she doesn't get it? And then I was thinking, well, when she ends 8th grade, what is she going to use for high school, from 9th to 12th grade? So I emailed them and I had some questions, several, probably too many, some questions, and I asked them. And they told me that when a child finishes Dimensions Math 8 or the Level 2 of New Elementary Math, when they finish either one of those, that the child could do a high school level Algebra 2 or a geometry, or a high school geometry, or possibly a college level math. That sounded pretty impressive. I was thinking, wow, if we continue with the Singapore path, then by 9th grade, my child could possibly be ready for college, you know, or at least Algebra 2. I mean, that was pretty impressive. So I considered just continuing the Singapore path. But I started thinking that what if I did that until she was, finished 8th grade, and then we move in to go back to Rebecca, or move into a more traditional type math textbook that teaches the Algebra 2? And what if after 4 years, 3 or 4 years of her doing the Singapore, the way it's laid out, and the method they teach, what if it's so different than the traditional type of textbook to where she can't understand the traditional one? Like, what if it takes her a year or two to understand their way of teaching and their methods, that she kind of goes back, if that makes any sense? So I didn't want to take a chance on messing up her high school level math. So what I decided to do was to use junior high, mainly 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, as a time to find the perfect, the correct math program for her that would get her ready for high school. So I looked and looked and looked, and she told me she wanted color. We learned that she needed the mastery approach, and So I found some different ones online, and I presented them to her, and I was thinking, well, and you could download samples and stuff. And I said, what do you think you would like? So in the end, we picked, for this school year that we just finished, she has been doing Bob Jones Math 6. And Bob Jones is a mastery approach. You know, it goes all the way up through high school, so I don't have to worry about it quitting at a certain grade level. There is some color. There's not much, but there's some pictures, some little articles to read. There is some color. She really likes Bob Jones Math. We just finished her 6th grade year, and she's used it all year. She just likes it. I've asked her several times all throughout the school year. I've been really paying attention to her, and any time she starts to struggle or I feel like she is getting upset with it, I ask her, do you want to change to a different math program? And each time she says no. She says out of all the ones that she's tried, that Bob Jones is her favorite. About that, the phone rang. So I don't quite remember what the last thing was that I said, but I know I was talking about Bob Jones. And so my oldest, she said that this is what she wants to continue with. She really likes it. Now, her sister started doing teaching textbooks sometime at the end of December or the beginning of January. So she has been doing that, my youngest has been doing that the second half of this school year. And she really likes it. So I have asked my oldest, do you think you might want to do teaching textbooks? I've been asking her this for a few months, and she watches her sister, but she says no, she has no interest in doing that. She wants to stay with the Bob Jones. So that is what we will continue to do until she graduates. However, I personally, Bob Jones is great. It truly is great. All that. Now, I like Singapore. I just think Singapore, out of all that we've tried, is the best one out there, from my experience. But I may just be basing that solely on how it broke down the wall for math for my oldest. That's probably the only reason why I think it's so great. But Bob Jones is really good. I'm very happy with it, and my daughter she loves it. It's great. So that is our homeschooling journey for math for my oldest. My youngest, she has used Abeka K5, Abeka 1st grade. She has used Singapore, and then she is in 3rd grade this year. And the first semester she continued with Singapore, and the second semester she switched over to teaching textbooks. Now, I love Singapore, so I wanted for her to continue Singapore until 6th grade and then switch over to Bob Jones. But when she was doing Singapore this school year, the first semester, now my oldest loved Singapore, loved it. My youngest, the first semester, she didn't like it anymore. She thought it was boring. I don't know why. It's great. It is really, really great. It really teaches them to think. It teaches them why and how we do things. It gives them different ways to look at a problem. Singapore's just great. But my youngest did not like it. Now, she liked it last year, but this year she didn't like it. She said it was boring, and she wanted to do teaching textbooks. Well, actually what she told me is she wanted to do computer math. And I just kept saying, okay, and I kept ignoring her. She told me the whole first semester, and I just kept saying, whatever, you're doing this. And she just kept on and kept on and kept on. So I started looking into different computer math programs, and I knew about teaching textbooks, but I've known about it for several years, and 2 of my closest homeschool friends do teaching textbooks. But I don't know, I just didn't like it. I just didn't want any part of it. but my youngest kept insisting that she wanted to do teaching textbooks. So I borrowed a book from my friend, and I looked over the book. And I kid you not, I looked through every single page. I didn't just flip through it. I looked and read every single lesson. I was going through with a very critical eye, reading each and every lesson. The more I tried to find fault with it, the more I was like, this is laid out really well. It really builds on itself. And you can see that. It's not subtle. You can really see how it builds on itself. And I was really shocked. I was not expecting it to be laid out so well. So, for about a month, maybe longer, I emailed teaching textbooks every single day. We had emails going back and forth because I was very, very critical of it. So I emailed them question after question after question, possible scenarios, that could happen in the future. I was trying, I did not want her to do it, so I was trying to find something to tell her why she couldn't do it. Well, it didn't work. They answered every question, and I saw where they were coming from, and so I began to feel like maybe it was the right way to go. One thing about teaching textbooks with their customer service or support, they reply back to you so quick. I could reply that morning, I'd have an answer before lunchtime. If I messaged them at nighttime, when I woke up, I had a reply waiting. They're so quick, so thorough, so helpful to answer your questions. Great, great customer support. So I decided to go ahead and let her do teaching textbooks, and we bought it, and she's been doing it, it's May now, and she's been doing it since either the end of December or the 1st of January, and she does it every day. Well, not on Sundays, and not hardly on any Saturdays, but she has been known to do it on some Saturdays, because she does enjoy it. My youngest, she likes it, she has fun with it. I think it's kind of like a game to her. I don't know, she's doing very well at it. She enjoys it. I guess that's all I have to say about that. So that was my math curriculum journey for 8 years. We have used Becca, Modern Curriculum Press, Rodenstaff, Singapore, Bob Jones, and teaching textbooks. 6 different programs in 8 years. That is horrible. I feel like that's horrible, but it's a journey. You learn as you go. So anyhow, thank you for watching.